go ahead and jump into the rundown, and for our first topic, talk about Mr. Gruden. He former coach of the I always want to say
Oakland?
Oakland. Like I always want to say that, but it's the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right.
Who have a great stadium, by the way.
You can watch their game from the highway.
Talk to
Got
him.
a big old screen. Like if you look off the highway driving past it, shows the game.
That stadium was the coldest until the SoFi thing popped up. That's like
Well, they opened the
spaceship.
same year,
Was it the same year?
but couldn't nobody go in.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. But so Gruden has since resigned because a lot of bad emails that came out. And these were back in 2010, I believe. The first one about DeMaurice Smith from the NFL about the.
What did he say?
He said, "Let me make sure I read it right because he's talking."
I haven't paid attention to this
You
at
have
all.
not. You ever heard any of it?
I just heard he got fired.
I knew it was a poop show, so I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Well, he talked about he disrespected him talking about how big his lips were. And we all know,
Right.
we know where that's
trope, if you will.
right. And
Well, I mean, his lips are very thin.
definitely
Talking about Chucky?
yeah, talking about Chucky. But
He wanted some of his lips for his own.
but there were more emails that came out with him and what's my boy's name from the Washington football team, Snyder, Daniel Snyder.
David.
There were homophobic and misogynistic emails. So I'm not gonna read them because there's a long list. Don't do that, Mike. I messed it up, but y'all know where I was going.
Yeah. E.T.
But the emails was trash. Like I'm talking about naked pictures of cheerleaders. Like
He out here clowning. Huh?
I'm talking about clowning on.
Oh, it's only going to get worse.
You thought it was the 70s and 80s.
Bruh, this is up to some of the emails were recent as 2018, so it ain't like it was just 2010 and they caught him slipping. Like the 2010 DeMaurice Smith email, when that came out, it was like, all right, we gonna keep it moving. Like it's cool, we'll slap him on the wrist. And
So there was only like one racist one, or there was multiple?
oh no, there was
okay.
multiple more. But what I'm saying is, when the first one came out, it was just that first one about the lips and everything, the quote unquote. The black slander. After that, they were like, well, we'll slap him on the wrist. Keep on going.
First of all, there's no even slap on the wrist. There was all this.
Make him a fake apology. The apology was trash.
The apology was trash, but then, they tried, God bless you, Tony Dungy, but like they trotted him out there on Sunday Night Football. And
you saw that,
with
man.
him, and you know what? You know who they, and Mike Tirico, who, our favorite Italian, but it was weird because Drew Brees is on that broadcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they didn't want to talk to Drew Brees.
Didn't say a word.
They didn't want to talk to him, even though he was, a part of when they were trying to decertify the league, so he was very much a face of not only, the NFL, but of the union. So he was privy to a lot of things. Bruh. And it was, look. This whole thing is only going to get worse because it's something like 650,000 emails. And I want to tell anybody out there who is, in corporate America, even if you are no longer at that job, your emails don't go away. All right. This is somebody I talked to a lawyer friend, and these are all subject to subpoenas. They can all be recovered. So don't think you just send in something funny back and forth between your mans and them through email. All this stuff is monitored.
First of all,
and can come back. And
anybody that's worked in corporate America knows good and
nothing
well.
will happen.
Anybody that's worked in corporate America knows good and well. You better not say anything wild on that email thread because they literally tell you in any orientation at any of these companies that is through our network, and we can pretty much see everything going on in our network if we decide to do it.
So Lone,
that's wild.
Just so you understand, I have some of the things that were on there, and I can't say them, but I'll just lead you down that road.
You can bleep them out.
Yeah. So no, we can't.
I'm saying you can physically bleep them out.
So he called Roger Goodell a word that starts with an F.
He let a maggot fly.
Yeah, he's a friend. He said he's a clueless anti-football P word. That's Roger Goodell. And
For
he
those
also,
of you who don't know, Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL.
He also said that Jeff Fisher, who then was the coach of the Rams, drafted a Q word in reference to Michael Sam, who was an open football player.
Well, you can say that. You can say queer,
say
but
that?
in the way that he said queer, he didn't mean it in that. In the way that is appropriate.
So here's my question, and Lone, I'm coming to you first. Cancel culture, right? So there's a lot of people that
There's
are
levels to it.
definitely.
This is a little different than cancel culture.
This ain't cancel culture.
There's people. I'm saying that because people are saying he's being canceled. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's your boy, the goofy that graduated at Ball State, Jason Whitlock?
I don't know why you putting him on me. I don't.
He went to your college.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a clown, 100% clown. But I saw
That's your
somewhere.
alumni meetings.
No, he's not.
Not in mine.
Yeah, we don't like him. But I'm seeing some stuff on Twitter that's speaking to him being quote unquote canceled because these are old emails. He was not a coach in the NFL. He was on Monday Night Football.
So
I was about to ask you.
His
So what's your
privilege
thoughts?
expired.
it don't matter.
Okay.
Sure, I would say yes, he's being canceled, and he's rightfully so being canceled. I feel like cancel culture is one of those interesting things. It's like, how do we define it, right? Are we saying that if you do something and you get publicly shamed, is that considered cancel culture? Or is it considered cancel culture if you do something and then like an employer comes out and says, okay, we're not going to hire you, or you're banned from, obviously he's not going to be an NFL coach anymore. He's not going to be working for ESPN or anything like that. Probably not.
I don't know though, Lone. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he might pop up in a booth somewhere on a network where somebody's quote unquote.
He might
brave enough to
broadcast
do
a high
that.
school game somewhere or something, but I don't know. I would just say to that if this is considered cancel culture, then good. I think it's deserving. So
I mean, I think it is.
If Whitlock and everybody else says, "Oh, he's being canceled," are you trying to say he shouldn't be?
Right.
Like, I mean, are these things acceptable?
The argument is, like I said, before I kicked it to you, is that he wasn't a coach.
He is now.
He was on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, but if you're working,
and one of them was over 10 years old.
Yeah,
so
but if you're working for Monday Night Football, it means you work for ESPN, which is a part
associated
of
with the
NBC.
NFL.
You might as well be working for the NFL.
I agree.
Has he shown anything anything since then that makes us think that he's not that person now?
Look at his face. I mean,
but his face is going to stay the same, right? He's Chucky. He's Chucky, right? But no, I mean, seriously though, like that's what I would look at if I was an employer and I was looking at him, right? And this stuff came out. I was like, well, has he done anything to make me think that he's a different person now? Has he apologized? Obviously, this is fresh, right?
Mm-hmm.
The apology was so trash.
But he didn't come out ahead of this or anything like that.
No.
If this was a long string of 65 pages of emails or whatever, like
from 2010 to 2018,
that's a lot of stuff to apologize for. And up until this point, I thought Jon Gruden was just a good old boy. So,
well,
why I said, look at his
he's more of a
face.
good old boy than you may have thought.
there we go.
right.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. You know, like, so. Yeah, I mean, if that's what that is, and fine, I'm playing. I don't know.
It's from what I see on timelines, it's mixed. I see a lot of people that are glad he's out of there, 100% glad he's out of there. But I do see there's a small swell of people that are like, man, it's what we talked about with the cancel culture, and the emails were too old, and like it's not 100% across the board from what I see. There are some people out there, but I say he should have been sent to the crib.
I mean, and everything that I would consider cancel culture and what everybody always calls it as, this doesn't even fit in that. This is just him.
That's what I'm saying.
This is just him doing some dumb stuff and getting caught, and he got fired.
Go ahead, Terry.
I mean, like he said, he got caught.
Yep.
I hate when people get caught and then apologize, because how sorry are you really? And that's what seems to always happen. As soon as somebody gets caught, they want to apologize. So it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Just I have to say something in order to try to get people on my side. But I mean, he said some reckless stuff in the emails.
Reckless.
And I mean, he knew it was coming. That's why he went ahead and resigned. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is at this point. What's going on is exactly what was going to happen. His privilege ran out, and now he has to pay the piper, and he doesn't have a job. But I mean, he's already paid. Yes. That's the thing about a lot of these people that get canceled. Everybody's such in a rush to cancel people, but they're in a position to where they can live their life any way they want to live. I don't know
what the ramifications are for his contract.
Oh, I can tell you exactly what they are.
Do you know?
That's a part of a morals clause. So
okay,
his contract was 10 years, $100 million.
Yeah.
Okay. We're in year 4 of that.
Yep.
So basically, because this is a violation, there's a whole bunch of legalese, but basically, the Raiders are off the hook for that
for the other
$60 million.
Wow.
They don't have to pay him that.
I think I think I could do pretty well off $40 million.
Yeah, I mean, he just finished building a $4 million house.
Yeah,
that's covered.
Yeah,
but this will
be awkward.
This is the thing. We talk about cancel culture so much because it just seems to be a buzzword, especially for people who
it's
are
the popular thing
who
to
are
say.
Twitter activists, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what? First of all, you're right. Nobody ever really gets canceled. But second of all, there's a difference between being canceled and just being held responsible for the things that you do wrong.
Yeah,
I can dig that.
R. Kelly wasn't canceled. He was just finally held responsible for the things he did wrong.
I would agree.
The only time
to a certain extent, because
the only people I've seen, you're right. Yeah. But he's still got more trials to go, so they're not done with R. Kelly.
Yeah, it's a wrap for.
He's never going to see daylight. But this is also the thing that's kind of crazy. To me, the only people I can say who have ever really been canceled. Give
me one that's actually been canceled.
Kathy Griffin.
Wow.
And Chrisette Michelle.
Well, that's because they're B-list.
No, but you can cancel it. Like, you got to understand, Kathy Griffin was the queen of Bravo.
I was about to say, I don't know if I say
she had her
B-list.
specials.
Yeah.
She was out here getting it. She could come to Old National Center and sell out.
That thing out.
They literally put her on no-fly lists, and like all of a sudden, her phone stopped ringing because of what she did. And
I wouldn't call her B-list.
I don't even remember what she did.
Was it the Trump related thing?
Yeah, it was it was that.
And Chrisette Michelle, to his point,
Yeah,
we already know what happened.
Chrisette Michelle, and that's the culture really kind of saying, we don't F with this person.
You don't remember
anymore.
that long?
No, I don't remember.
They was all over her.
She sang at the inauguration, even though everybody said, "Do not do this."
Black Twitter went off,
but they all said, "Please do not do this."
Oh. Yes,
this is not going to help you, and he doesn't. This is not going to end well for you. Those are only two people. Even when I talked about R. Kelly, I talked about
his sales are up 500%.
Yeah,
man.
Even when we talked about what happened before. There had to be a certain level of corporate interest who said, okay, this guy's not an earner anymore. Yeah. So we can wash our hands of him and pretend like we're doing something moral. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's the same thing with the NFL and Jon Gruden. All right. This guy, I guarantee you, if he's coming off a Super Bowl or maybe they were, they'd find a way to maybe say, okay, you got to sit down for the season. You know what I'm saying? But
we'll bring you back.
3 years in, we haven't been to the playoffs. You traded Khalil Mack. You've done okay. The start of this season was good.
You're not good for the brand.
You got to understand, you're not so much of an earner that we can't go ahead and keep this train running without you.
He's got 2 playoff wins since he won the Super Bowl in Tampa, and that was Tony Dungy's team.
So knows that. When we talk about, there's cancel culture, to me isn't real. A lot of times people are just being held responsible for the things they've done wrong, and people who want to politicize it, if you will, like someone like Jason Whitlock. Like, I don't ever want to have somebody like this is where I was a little worried about Chappelle for a second, because Jason Whitlock was like, it's the best comedy thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But I feel like he was just trolling. Jason Whitlock probably don't even have Netflix. He just knows him and Clay Travis can agree on something. Yeah. So I just think with him, it's gonna get a lot worse, because stuff keeps coming out now. They're not done. You think they're just now getting through 650,000? And like I said, this came from the Wall Street Journal.
All he did was lose his job. At the end of the day, he's not about to have to fork over anything. All he had to do.
He don't have to fork over anything. He's not going to have to sell his house.
Pack up his stuff.
He'll be just fine.
As it relates to the, go ahead, Lone. If you want to say something.
What triggered this?
There's an investigation going on with the Washington football team, and it involved Daniel Snyder, who is the owner. I'm sorry. And then they start going through a whole bunch of emails and found some stuff that,
they weren't even trying to come and get him.
Yeah, they wasn't even looking for him.
He wasn't even the target.
And he just took a stray and is out of there.
So they saw the cheerleaders and were like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, the cheerleaders is the ones that did it. Yeah. Forget DeMaurice Smith lips.
Because DeMaurice Smith came out on Friday.
Yeah.
Him.
They was like, we'll work around that.
Yeah. It's like, I will work around. But then when he came with the gay slurs and then talking about how Eric Reed, should be fired, and you know whose words those are, because when you get waived, you get released in the NFL. You don't get fired.
You throw it.
Who used that terminology when it came to professional football players? 45? Yeah. 45. So you know where that's going. So I think a part of this is like, look, who you are on TV is one thing, but who you are when you just think nobody's listening or nobody, sees what you're doing, that's who you really are.
I mean, he is who we thought he was.
Shout out to the late great Dennis Green.
Shout out to 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝑡𝗄𝑠 Johnson, who's been calling this dude a fraud for as long as he's been on TV.
And he was, Max Kellerman was like, man, yesterday Max was trying to talk to him and be like, look, man, just let's look at everything in the grand scheme of things before we, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't want you to jump out the window. 𝐀𝐁 was like, nah, I told y'all this dude was XYZ and y'all didn't believe me. I was crazy. And then Max Kellerman this morning was like, man, you look pretty good today. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
unlike Tony Dungy.
Oh, man. I love Tony Dungy, too.
I mean, and unlike Mike Tirico, but Mike Tirico always looks like a sucker.
Randy Moss out there crying, man. I had to, scratch my head.
Hey, but if you listen to what Randy Moss said, because coming from West Virginia and the stuff he had to go through to even get to where he is, I get it.
I feel that. And Randy Moss is also, it's on brand for him because he's an emotional dude. I've seen him cry about stuff, cried about getting into Hall of Fame. He was cried about some other stuff on those pre-shows. So it's on brand with him. I just was like, dang, bro. Like,
that's a weird thing to say.
It is. Like, but if you followed him, it goes with him. Like, that's his personality.
Brand for Randy Moss to be emotional.
Yeah, if you know him. Yeah, because a lot of people were shocked at seeing him cry. That's why I'm like,
so that's his brand.
It is. If you watch sports and you follow Randy Moss, he's an emotional cat. That's all I'm saying.
Randy Moss will come in here and beat your ass.
No, yeah.
For real.
No, yeah.
Maybe that's just him.
It could be.
It doesn't have to be.
I don't see it.
That's that new terminology. Everything that happens is a brand.
I mean, that's his content platform.
Yeah. That's his platform. We in branding now.
He has a cry every Thursday.
I'm gonna get my 𝗏𝗏𝗧 on, and that's my brand.
That's what he does. I mean, if you follow him, that's what he does.
All right.
Y'all just don't follow him. That's all.
Well, all right.
Yeah, great receiver though. Top 3.
That's what they say.
Don't do that. Brand.
Don't do that long. Don't do that because that's gonna go down another road. He is top 3. Don't do that.
He's great.
Man.
Him, Jerry Rice, and
T.O.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure you join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. You can also catch playback of all of our shows on any podcast app and youtube.com/newoldheadsnetwork. And go to newoldheads.com/community to join our Discord.